everyone, this is Nate Ortiz and you are listening to Walking in Power. You might have heard the old leadership saying that says, you teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. I think that could really be applied to our faith. And when we talk about who we are, I want to focus on that moment before we even talk about reproducing who we are. You have to understand who you are in this life and not just what we do. We talk about it often where we can focus and say, well, this is what I do, but who are you really? Right? Who are you, in your private life? When you're not around other people, when you're not presenting or performing, when you just say, when I'm by myself, when I'm just sitting down in a room and I don't have anything pulling on me, I'm not on my phone, I'm not answering emails or text messages. Who am I really? So wherever you're listening to this at, you might be at the gym, you might be at home, sitting on your couch, wherever you might be, in the car, ask yourself, right? Who am I really? And sometimes people think they know, but they really don't. I feel like one of the great ways to understand who you are is to really peel back the layers of things that people's perceived thoughts of you, but really find yourself in who God's created you to be. To understand that in this relationship with God, there are things that will come in time. There's things that will be immediate. But when you walk with God, I think there's things that you discover about yourself through His Word, through being around other people who've been walking with God for a long time. And I think understanding who you are will ultimately help you impact other people's lives. If you're unsure of who you are, unsure of what God's called you to be, or just your identity in Him, you're always gonna feel like you're struggling, or you might take on the identity of other things that you're not meant to take the identity of on. So here's the thing. Who you are will be discovered when you are saying, God, I submit my life to your word, I submit my life to your plan. Because when you do that, you begin to peel off everything that isn't meant for you. There's a story of David in the Bible where he goes to battle and King Saul tells him, hey, wear my armor. And David puts it on. He's like, this just isn't me. He takes it off, and the story, he goes out and takes a slingshot and takes down Goliath, the giant. And David, in that moment, right, he could have tried to wear Saul's armor and be something that he wasn't, but he chose to just do what he was gifted in, how God's wired him. The same is true for you. Don't try to be like someone that you would, someone they deem as really high esteem when it comes to their faith, but be who God's called you to be. And that only happens when you walk with Him daily, when you, like I said, step back from what you do to find out really who you are. And when you reproduce yourself, Jesus, He was the best at reproducing Himself. Jesus didn't come to establish His leadership, but Jesus came to empower people to walk this life. Not that there'll be no worries or stress or obstacles in your way, but gave the empowerment to say, listen, there's gonna be battles and fights in your life, but you're not going to fight them in the ways that you maybe did in the past before the Lord, but you're going to fight them in a new way. You're going to fight them in prayer. You're going to fight them with just, not always just feel like you have to be the aggressor in situations, but you say, God, I'm trusting you. Help me be strong. Help me be bold. Help me to stand my ground, but also help me not to step in the place where you want to fight my battles for me. So when you reproduce who you are, you have to learn that it's in partnership with God, but you are going to impact people's lives around you. You are going to be someone, you might look at, let me say this, you might look at your life and say, there's people who poured into me. There's people who've helped me grow my faith, reading the word, understanding God in a greater, richer way. There might be people in your life who are doing that for you now, but then who are you doing that for around you? Jesus, like I said, was great this. He took 12 disciples and He poured everything He was into them, and not all of them got what He was putting down, but they were taught by Him, and their impact went on and on and on, because there were Jesus discipled His disciples, and they discipled someone else and went further and further and further. Sometimes we want to reach the crowds, the masses, but really there's this idea that, well, who are the couple people that you're pouring into, right? You can sometimes identify mentors easily in your life than you can people that you're mentoring, because sometimes we feel like, well, I don't want to do this or do that, but it takes a lot of effort and time, and it does, mentoring someone or discipling someone, but it's always worth it, because God's not doing things in your life that you can keep to yourself, but God is doing things in your life that you can empower other people around you. So be that type of person, right? You teach what you know, and that's great, but you reproduce who you are. So look around you. Are there people that you say, yeah, I feel like I see some of like my leadership, some of my my faith journey, like the things I've learned from God in these other people, these spiritual disciplines. Can you see those things in someone's life? If not, I think you're missing out on a big part of the fullness of what God has for you in your walk with him, when you feel that that joy when you see someone walking with God because of the time they spent with you, and you see them thriving, and their marriage is healthy, and their family is healthy, business is thriving, because they were dedicated to things that were taught to them. Listen, I want to encourage you that wherever you are today, whether you feel like you're doing great, whether you feel like you're feeling low, whether you feel like you have a lot of people around you that you're helping or none at all, listen, today is the day to start where you are. Today is the day, and now is the time for you to get serious about your faith and say, God, what do you have for me? So even as this video ends, or as you're listening to it, take a moment to pray wherever you are. Be genuine, be authentic. Just talk to God. Say, God, I want to grow. I want to know who I am, and I want to reproduce the great things about me that you've put inside of me. And so when we think about our life, let's think in the context of, right, who the people poured into us, and how can we give that away to other people. I pray that you're blessed. I pray that you have an amazing week. And I hope that in this, you continue to get closer to God. We'll catch you next time.